like we can run the table. I really do.
Giants looking for a stop. They're going to air it out. Rodgers does this better than anybody. End zone, Cobb, touchdown! Unbelievable! This to send the Packers into the NFC Championship game. It is good! The Packers are moving on! Aaron Rodgers has done it again!
Grossi Posse Packer Nation, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Padcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom Grossi, and Packers fans, it's been a little bit rough. We haven't been an easy few weeks, and I think we're all kind of thankful that it's the end of the season, but we still got one game left, and I know a lot of you are saying, let's just throw it, let's go for the draft picks, but who knows? Maybe Brett Hundley will pull out some magic, or we'll start Joe Callahan. But we still got the Lions in our way. It's not for the division. Neither of us are making the playoffs. But as always, we have a Lions fan with us. And today, we have Lions fan Nathan with us. Nate, how we doing?
Going pretty good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being on the show. Thoroughly appreciate it. I feel like this is going to be a very somber episode because neither of our teams have anything to look forward to except potential firings at the end of the year.
I'm looking forward to those.
Yeah, you and Packers fans both alike. I mean, we're looking to clean house a little bit. But man, this season has just been brutal. And even from last year, it's been the Packers and Lions usually coming down to the last game. I remember looking at the schedule and I'm like, oh crap, we're going to be playing for the division again, week 17 against the Lions. I mean, for you guys, I would think with the amount of talent that you have on the team, it's got to be pretty disappointing that you guys are out of the playoff hunt already.
Oh, it's really frustrating. Stafford's been playing lights out the last couple of years. Our secondary's been looking really good. We got Slay in the back few, and then we're just not executing every week as consistently as we really should be, and it probably just comes down to coaching.
Yeah, I can relate in a whole lot of ways. And so before we jump into the nitty gritty of this season and everything like that, I do want to know, how did you become a Lions fan? Was this something that was passed down? Your dad was I'm going to curse you for all eternity and make you a Lions fan. Did you just make a wrong decision one night? Give me the backstory on how you became a fan.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't have the luxury of picking a team. I grew up with it and had to suffer the consequences ever since. Some of my earliest memories are watching the Lions get blown out on Thanksgiving, the extended family watching, and my uncle, who's a diehard Packers fan, rubbing it in.
Oh, oh man. Okay. Yep. That will happen. That all right. So there's some animosity. All right. So it wasn't a choice in any way, shape, or form.
No, unfortunately. As much as I'd love to be a Patriots fan, I'm stuck here in Michigan as a Lions fan.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Things have gotten better, right?
That's true. We're not the Browns.
You are 100% correct. You're not the Browns. Listen, I interviewed 2 Browns fans this year, and that's dedication. That is,
oh my gosh,
Lambeau Field, you're hearing boos rain down, when we have our first losing season in 10 years. And, these guys are just we're just hoping to win a game this year, Tom.
Yeah, it's brutal. And, the Lions fans have been there with the 0-16 season. It's not something you wish on anyone else.
Yeah. Well, that being said, that's the perfect transition. So the Browns, right, they're on the cusp of being an 0-16 team. From the Lions' perspective, I know you just said you don't wish it on anybody else. Is there a part of you that's just you know what, at least we won't be the only ones now? At least, we'll have misery loves company kind of thing?
Oh, yeah. Not going to lie. There is a part of me, you hate being the one team that's ever managed to lose every game, all 16 games anyway. And, there's some people who are rooting for them to pull them out so they don't have to join the club. But when people refer to horrible teams, and if they do it, maybe it won't be us anymore.
It's like passing the curse, right? It's like now
Oh,
you,
yeah.
you have it now, so like we're good. We have clean hands now.
Yeah, it's not a title you love having.
No.
Maybe someone else can share the crown.
Absolutely not. And I mean, you guys, you're a ways removed from the 0-16 days in that you guys have either made the playoffs or you've been it's come down to the last week for the past few years, and that you guys have been consistently better. Like you're saying, Stafford has been playing incredibly well, where I remember in the beginning of his career, the amount of hits that kid took. And like you looked at him and you're like, I don't know how long he's going to be in the league, because your offensive line just like, for some reason, hated him and just wanted him to die. But the guy, he's one of the toughest QBs there is. He's got one of the strongest arms in the NFL. So you have the quarterback position locked down. So you take a look at what Stafford's doing, and then you look at the rest of the team. You have guys like Marvin Jones. You have guys like Golden Tate that are surrounding him. The running game could go either way, depending on who's playing. But like, where do you see like the biggest holes in this team, and where you guys need to improve?
Well, as far as offense goes, Stafford's great, but man, he can't do it all. The offense is totally one-dimensional. We finished after the Bengals game as the worst rushing attack in the NFL, and look at the Rams. Todd Gurley going off this year with an improved offensive line just opened Goff up. He was doing horrible last year, and now the Rams' offense is just unstoppable this season. And then as far as defense goes, the secondary's built to win. It's great. But the defensive line can't get any pressures. Ansah's been really limited with his injuries. And then other than Ashawn, after Haloti Ngata went down, there's just no one there,
Yeah. Because, I mean, is it one of those things that, speaking about your defensive, I mean, obviously you guys need a running attack. And like that's something that has been, I feel like, lacking, or you're just like, oh, like maybe this guy's going to do it this year, but like the running back by committee usually does not bode very well. And so that being said, you look at the offensive problems and you identify that you need a running back. But when it comes to the defensive line, is it like do you miss like Ngannougne Suh? Do you miss him? Is it one of those things that like you're okay that you let him go? Are you kind of like we should have paid him a crap ton of money and not let him go to the Dolphins? Do you think Suh would have helped some of those issues?
Oh, Suh is unstoppable. He really would have helped, but it's really hard for me to justify paying a defensive lineman quarterback money. It squeezes you up cap-wise. It really limits what you can do. And, we're definitely going to have to look at it with the draft. And if we can come up with a pass rush some other way, we're going to be way better off than we would be paying $100 million for a defensive tackle.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, like, listen, I'm not the biggest fan of Suh. It's just like that should be a shock. But the guy was a disruptive player, meaning that like he was always in the backfield. He was always sacking quarterbacks or at least causing enough pressure to get the ball out of their hands. And so when it comes to that, yeah, your secondary is much more improved, but you're also in a division where it seems like, the Packers have always been known for their offense because we sure as shit don't have a defense. So I know you're talking about like one-dimensional. I'm like, yeah, what about it's like one guy? Just one guy is holding your entire team together, because that's the Packers right now. And, we have that. But at the same time, when it comes to like the Vikings, they're built on their defense, right? Like that's like their bread and butter. The Bears, who knows what the hell the Bears are going to be doing.
Yeah.
But like you need a defense in this league at least in order to compete. I know while it's incredibly like high offense and throwing the ball and doing all that, like defense wins championships is not just a saying, and
absolutely.
I think in both of our cases we need some help in that area.
Yeah, it's really you look at when you're at 8-8, 9-17, you're looking at the one thing you're missing, and the last couple of years it's just been defense for us.
Yeah. So I mean, you talked about coaching issues before, right? And I took a gander at the subreddit, and it seems like a lot of people are looking forward to the potential firing of Jim Caldwell.
Oh yeah, love the guy, but he's just probably not the guy to take us all the way,
Yeah. And so do you think like you were talking about coaching before, like that's the missing piece, obviously, besides the running game, besides the defensive line. But like getting just someone new in there will get you over that hump. Will get you past the 8-8. Will get you past the 9-7 seasons.
Well, it's hard to say. I think the running game is the number one problem, and you look at the names on the offensive line and you think it's not talent. So you look at coaching, and that's an easy thing to address that might be able to turn it around. Ron Prince has been the offensive line coach forever, and with guys like T.J. Lang, Taylor Decker, Ricky Wagner, something's not working if you can't make that line work. I'd love to see him get replaced. He's been there forever. And then Caldwell in his coaching career has always struggled with the run game. So you just got to look for something else because Stafford's going to be great with almost anybody.
Yeah.
So I'd love to get a coaching staff come in to work on the weaknesses.
Yeah. Because, this season in particular, when focusing on specifically this current one, Rodgers goes down, and I'd have to think like you and the Vikings are just like, okay, like this is our chance. Like this is our opportunity. Like let's get in there. When you got Brett Hundley being like the quarterback on the other side, you're not really afraid. He's not striking fear into any defensive linemen's hearts. So that being said, what do you think this season, like why weren't you able to capitalize like the Vikings were? Because the Vikings, listen, I've heard it all from Vikings fans. They're like, well, we lost our starting quarterback, we lost our running back, we lost X, Y, and Z. And they're still able to win the North, and not only win the North, but be dominant as well. So, like, why do you think, like, why are you coming in second, I guess, in the NFC North this year?
Well, as far as the Vikings go, they lost. Teddy Bridgewater's been out for a while. Sam Bradford went hurt, but who saw Case Keenum coming out of nowhere?
Yeah.
He was just this career backup, And then, like you said, defense wins championships, and that defense for a couple of years now has been phenomenal. Xavier Rhodes is playing lights out this year. That defensive line's great. Everson Griffin's a star.
Yeah.
Harrison at safety, he's phenomenal. And then defense will keep them in any game. And that offense has just been working. Their wide receivers, Diggs and Thielen, especially Thielen came out of nowhere. They're playing great. It opens things up for Case Keenum a lot. And then as far as the lines go, Stafford's been playing well. A couple weeks ago, he was second in the NFL in yards. He's been playing well, but our conversion rate on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, most teams get it most of the time, has just been absolutely atrocious, with no run game to back it up. Jim Bob Cooter's play calling's been suspect. He's calls runs on 1st and 2nd down and creates bad situations on 3rd down. He'll call screens all the time that just get blown up. And then we make the other team's offenses look good when the line can't get pressure, gives them plenty of time. And our secondary is good, but you give a quarterback 4 seconds in the pocket, he's going to make stuff happen.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head in that, those 3rd down convert, like I know run pass very, very well. That is like the Mike McCarthy special of just like do that. And then, you put Aaron Rodgers in there, and Aaron Rodgers, listen, this year has exposed the Packers so badly. And, we knew, like in the back of our mind, like we knew if Aaron Rodgers goes down, because it happened in 2013, if he goes down, this team is like got major, major problems. And that was fully on display this year. And so,
well, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Does it make you question the philosophy of the front office? The Packers don't bring in a lot of flashy free agents. They love to build through the draft. It's almost like a point of pride.
Yeah.
So when you have a weaker team like this, do you want to see that change?
Yeah, it's one of those things that we've been calling for Dom Capers to be fired ever since the 2011 season. The year that they actually went 15-1, because they had an amazing defense the year they won the Super Bowl. And then, because they were just getting a ton of turnovers, they weren't allowing teams to convert on 3rd down, red zone was great, etc. But that 15-1 season, the only reason we won those games, the only reason we won 15 games is because Aaron Rodgers was putting up 30-plus points per game. That's the only reason why. And so that has been suspect for quite some time. 2014, when we blew it against Seattle, that we had a better defense. But I think Dom Capers is really a guy that should have gone a while ago. I think that's a problem. But yeah, you're 100% correct that it is a very, like, the majority of the players that we have on this team is because we drafted them however many years ago. And yeah, that is a point of pride. But, I'd be lying if I said like I want to go out and pull like a Broncos and like just throw millions and millions of dollars at like the best possible players, because in the back of all of Packer fans' minds are like, we are totally wasting the prime of Aaron Rodgers, and his absence is exposing all the gaps and holes in this team. And Ted Thompson has started to come under fire too, because like you just said, there's a problem here when you have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Ever.
Ever. Yeah. I was trying to be humble. but yeah, you have like one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game. And, you're finishing, you're not getting deep into the playoffs every single year. Yeah, I mean, you start to question that. And I think there's some changes that need to be made. I like Mike McCarthy as a coach. I think he's made some boneheaded moves. But, I mean, we've been saying since day one, like, if you have a Bill Belichick kind of coach, Packers have won multiple Super Bowls in the past 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, I think to answer your question fully, I think the front office has definitely held the Packers back extensively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think a good quarterbacking can cover up a lot of bad coaching, and it's almost not fair. You go from Favre to Rodgers. Who knows how much of this has been McCarthy, and then because if you got Bill Belichick there, your defense is going to be great. He's one of the greatest defensive minds. Probably the greatest defensive mind ever. Yeah. So.
And again, it's one of those things that Bill Belichick's able to go out and get like these random guys who were like, oh, I was a bartender last week and now I'm a Super Bowl MVP. It's ridiculous. And you take a look at the Packers, and at the same time though, you look at the Vikings, right? Like their defense wasn't an overnight thing. They built that defense through the draft. Like when they got like 3 picks in the first round a few years ago, and just being able to build it. The Packers making the playoffs like for the past 9 years, we're picking at the end of the draft. And so, I mean, it has been a while since we since we had a top 10 pick, but even like the top 20 pick, we haven't had one of those guys either. And I think that does play a factor ultimately, because you're not finding the most amazing talent. We've been incredibly fortunate with getting guys like David Bakhtiari, Blake Martinez, these guys that we pick up in like the 5th and 6th rounds that are amazing, but they're the exception and not the rule.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and it almost shows the draft working like the league wants it to, because that helps with parity. The Packers have been good for so long.
Yeah.
Might be someone else's turn. Who knows?
Yeah, I listen. I am the first one to say that, like, as Packer fans, we are so spoiled in the fact that you go from. I have no problems admitting that, and I think you're like completely ignorant if you don't recognize the fact that we go from like back-to-back Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and you have a guy like Brett Hundley who comes in, and you're like, oh my God, like this is bad. But, the majority of teams, like, they don't have a franchise quarterback. Look at the Browns. Look at any team that doesn't have an Aaron Rodgers on their team, which is not a lot of them, or doesn't have a Matthew Stafford or a Ben Roethlisberger or a Brady or Breeze, what have you. And, like, that's usually, like, the key component that they're missing. And considering the Vikings are able to do it with Case Keenum, like you were saying, I think that shows that, like, that team is built the right way.
Absolutely. And like when the Broncos won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, they had Peyton Manning, but he was more of a bystander than anything.
Oh, yeah.
Because that defense was just unbelievable.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, though, but like you look at the Giants from last year, right? And they went out and they spend millions of dollars on that defense. And then they get booted out in the wild card, and then they're utter crap this year. So, while I would love to say, like, let's go, Ted, like, go spend all of the money in free agency, there is no guarantee that it will work. And I think that, and that's I understand that philosophy behind it, but there's no reason that over the past few years we couldn't have picked up 1 or 2 guys over the offseason just to like help out. You know what I mean? Like, just don't make Rodgers do all of this by himself.
Yeah, the biggest free agent signing from the Packers that I've noticed the last couple of years, was Martellus Bennett, and that didn't work out.
No, that did not pan out at all. Yeah, no, we not even a little bit. Who was like, oh my God, like, my back, my shoulder, everything's broken. Oh wait, never mind. I'm gonna go play the next week with the Patriots.
Yeah, as soon as Rodgers is back,
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I can walk again. It's crazy. But yeah, no, you're 100% correct. I mean, we had Julius Peppers, we had Jared Cook, but those guys are both gone. And, it's one of those things that I feel like something changed after the 2014 season. Like when we blew it and didn't go to the Super Bowl, when we blew it against the Seahawks, like I feel like just something was different in that, like, you just miraculously blew that game and like you were guaranteed to go to the Super Bowl, and it just it didn't happen. And I think Rodgers got more frustrated because, listen, Rodgers has to be pretty pissed off. Like, I feel like that guy's I feel like he's biting his tongue like every day of just give me something. Just anything. Help me, please. But, it's not happening. And so I'm very curious to see what's going to happen this offseason. I want to say that there's going to be changes, but considering how stubborn the Packers front office is, I can't guarantee them. So it'll be interesting to see, because I know like what you guys are going through. You'll probably be making some big offseason changes. I'm hoping we're right there with you.
So are you worried at all that with the weakness of the team around Rodgers, once his contract's up, are you worried that he's going to take a look at another team like Denver and think, wow, that's a good defense. He's got a couple good wide receivers there. I might do a lot better in Denver.
It's so funny you bring that up, because I had never thought about that before last week. I had a Vikings fan on last week, and he asked that exact same question of like, hey, like, what's to stop him from looking around and going, this team is built pretty well. Why don't I go there? Because I could probably win a couple, let me pull a LeBron and go and win some championships. I think I have to say no, because if I don't, I'm going to cry myself to sleep every night. and yeah, I mean, I've said this on this show. Like, if Rodgers leaves this team because of the Packers, I will always be a Packers fan. I will never forgive this team because of the fact that they let that guy get away. But I think that at this point, it's now or never. The guy's he's still in the prime of his career, don't get me wrong, but he is limited in the amount of time that he does have left. Let's just say it's 5 or 6 years. I mean,
most, yeah.
That's a closing window. And I'm very concerned of what the future of this team is going to look like. Based off what I saw this season, I'm very concerned of what the future of the Packers are going to be post Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and what are the odds you get lucky a third time?
Yeah.
And pull another Hall of Fame quarterback,
Yeah. Very slim.
It's really hard
very
to win
slim.
without.
So, I mean, looking ahead and kind of looking at the status of the NFC North, right? Do you guys see the Packers as the rivalry within the North? Because obviously, when it comes from a Packers fan, I feel like you guys are always there and the Lions are always there. I don't even look at the Bears anymore because they're busy shooting they're busy shooting themselves in the foot and trading away draft picks to move up 30 seconds in the draft. They can't get out of their own way. But with you guys, I feel like the rivalry is there. It's definitely been more prevalent over the years. And there's a lot of animosity, especially for, last second Hail Marys and all that great stuff.
Oh,
but, I won't bring it up. I won't talk about it. But who do you guys see as the main rivalry in the North? Is it us, or is it starting to be the Vikings?
Every year, the past several seasons, it's had to have been the Packers. They've been winning it. It's come down to week 17 for the last couple seasons.
Yeah.
But the Vikings have absolutely forced themselves into that conversation this season. The rivalry traditionally hasn't been there, but if you look at the quality of team, after this season, you got to put the Vikings above the Packers, and the Packers with Aaron Rodgers are going to be really deadly. So it's going to be a tough division to win.
Yeah.
We're going to have to be a good team to pull something out and make the playoffs, because we're playing you guys twice a year, we're playing the Vikings twice a year, and who knows, Trubisky might come out of nowhere and play great for the Bears, but they're kind of an afterthought when you have the Vikings and the Packers in front of them.
Yeah. And it's always one of those interesting conversations, right? With the Patriots, that for the past however many years, they have a walk in the park when it comes to their division, right? Because they play the Dolphins, they play the Jets, they play the Bills, who aren't really jumping off the paper at you. I always wondered if you put a team like the Lions in another division, right? If you put them in, I don't even know, the South or the East, do they?
Oh, easily, yeah.
I feel like they do a lot, but if you put them in the division with the Cowboys and the Giants and stuff like that, I feel like you guys are playoff hunt every single year.
Yeah, like the Titans, they were looking at the playoffs this year, and they're not a good team.
No.
You know, their record's not bad, but they are not a good team.
No, they are
That
not.
division is just super weak. And 3-4 years ago, Carolina won a playoff game after getting 7 wins and making the playoffs.
Yeah.
That division was just with the Saints. Those divisions were just total shit shows, and they're pulling it out. It really that's because the teams in your division, you play them twice a year, and if they suck, that's 6 wins right there.
Yep. Yeah, you're 100% correct. 100% correct. And so, looking forward to this Sunday. Like, God, I just want it to be over. But like, what is? I do. Like, and that's a terrible thing to say. But like, I watched the Packers game this week. Good God, that was bad. Like, I feel like you guys are gonna kill us. And you know what? This is gonna be terrible and like sacrilege and blasphemy. I kind of hope you do, just to like put the nail in Dom Capers' coffin of just like get out, like just leave. But where do you see this Sunday going? Potentially Caldwell's last game, hopefully Capers' last game. What are you going to be looking for on Sunday? Or are you going to be like, listen, I'm going to have a beer in my hand and like, let's just hope that these 4 quarters go quickly?
Well, it's on paper, should be a game we run away with, but we just got killed by the Bengals.
Yeah, what happened there, bud?
We have no idea what to expect going into any given Sunday with this team. And then it's funny that you mentioned some fans want to lose for you guys to get rid of Dom Capers.
Yeah.
I've seen some fans say the same thing because they just want Caldwell gone. And, I don't think it's good to throw the game because, this rivalry's been something around a long time. It's a big point of pride, even though you don't have Aaron Rodgers. But honestly, beating a Rodgerless Packers team this year isn't going to be a big resume builder for Caldwell to keep his job. And I think he's gone either way. So
yeah. All right. So you're thinking, I would think the Lions are going to take it. I mean, look, we apparently can go toe-to-toe with the Steelers with Brett Hundley, but put us up against like the Ravens or the Vikings or anybody else or the Browns, we're either losing or going into overtime. So it's gonna be gross. But looking ahead and looking at the draft, so you guys will most likely finish second in the NFC North. You'll hopefully be getting a new coach. And so looking ahead, do you think because Stafford's going to be 30 next year, I want to say he's like going to be around 30. So
yeah, it's thereabout.
Yeah. So it's so weird because at this point, if you asked me 10 years ago, I'm like, oh, he's starting to get up there. Right. But like Tom Brady's playing until he's 40 years old. So, he's still got some time left. He's still got some meat on the bones. And so that being said, is your number one priority like, good God, please, let's get a running back. Let's get some defensive help and let's make a run for it again.
Yeah, I think I would like to see us first round go defensive line. We just need to get some pressure. And then a lot of people are calling for a running back. A lot of people are. And it's really tough because you don't know if your biggest weakness is offensive line scheme. Can anyone run behind this line?
Yeah.
Or is it a lack of a true running back like Abdullah or Riddick? They haven't been rushing the ball real well, but it wouldn't be a horrible idea to get a true power back because the best closest thing we have to that is Tion Green, this undrafted dude. What's his ceiling realistically,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think we should go with Saquon Barkley. He'll be off the board most likely anyway. But the drafts have shown that in the later rounds, you can get a stud, especially this year with the running back class being so deep. We have to get someone at some time in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, like we literally just drafted 3, and they all worked out. Like I feel like Ted Thompson was just like, we need somebody, like anybody. Let's just draft all running backs and see what happens. So that being said, before I let you get out of here, couple things. One, how is TJ Lang doing? I miss him. How is he? Are you treating him well? Like that, I do want to ask.
Oh, we love having TJ Lang, hometown boy. And he's had a couple injury problems this year, and it has affected his performance somewhat. But when he's been healthy, he's been solid. I'm a lot more excited for next year. Give him a full off season where he can train because he wasn't able to practice until the season started with the surgery. I think he's the least of my concerns on that line. He's a great lineman, and we're really glad to have him.
Yeah, thanks. I miss him every day. him and Josh Shitton, I thoroughly miss. But Nate, it's been a pleasure having you on. I thoroughly appreciate it, and I hope next year it bodes well for both of us. This Sunday, I don't think I'm going to be upset. I don't think I'm going to be happy, regardless of what the outcome of the game is going to be. But hopefully, we can both relax and enjoy the off season. And real quick, like, are you okay with the Vikings winning the Super Bowl this year?
Yeah, why not? If someone's got to
damn
win
it.
it, might as well be the people that won our division. Make us look better.
Damn it, Nate! No, no! I'll never hear the end of it. You don't understand how many Vikings fans are coming to the YouTube channel, are coming to SoundCloud, and saying, we swept you. Like, I can't do it. Nate. If they win a Super Bowl in their own stadium, I'll never hear the end of it. You don't understand.
Well,
But
hey, the Vikings are like us. We're sick of losing to the Packers year in, year out, and at least we split with them this year, so we got to win against a potential Super Bowl winner,
all right, Nate. I understand. Okay. All right. Fine. But no, never in a million years. But Nate, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on, man. And good luck with the off season, and good luck this Sunday.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully we have a good game tomorrow.
Yeah. I hope
Not
so.
tomorrow. Whenever. I don't know when this is.
Whenever we're playing, Sunday, what have you. It doesn't matter. All right. Take care, man. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Bye. Oh boy, yeah. If it sounds like the defeated tone was there, it's because it was. Man. Like, I don't want to lose, but I kind of just don't care. This is a weird feeling. I don't like it. I just don't want the Vikings to win. But we'll see. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com, TomGrossI Comedy, or Tom Grossi Comedy on the Twitter. Check out Packcast, Packast, which is this podcast. We do episodes at least twice a week. Every Thursday, we interview fans from the opposing team. We're on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, and of course, YouTube. Also, we do predictions episodes every week. Well, that was our last regularly scheduled guest for the season. I want to thank you all who tuned in, whether you've been here for 3 years or you just tuned in today. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. We'll see. We'll see. We'll get some guests on over the playoffs, because the only other alternative is just me silently weeping in my bathtub listening to Green and Yellow by Lil Wayne. I might do that anyway. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.